We've all been there. You're driving home after a long day. The sun is hitting that annoying spot on the horizon, and someone in front of you does something that makes you grip the steering wheel just a little tighter. It's something small, something off. Most of the time, we label these things as annoying habits. We think of them as personality flaws of the people we share the road with. But if you look at the physics of it, these habits aren't just irritating. They are the literal building blocks of traffic jams and accidents. The reality is that traffic isn't just a collection of cars. It's a giant organic machine. The moment you break predictability, you break the system. The human accordion, inconsistent speed. We'll start with the person who can't seem to decide how fast they want to go. You know the type. They're doing 65, then 58, then 70, then back to 62. When you're behind someone like this, you can't just set your cruise control and relax. This creates a pulse in the traffic flow. When the lead car slows down for no reason, you tap your brakes. The person behind you taps theirs a little harder. 5 cars back, someone is slamming on their brakes because that tiny fluctuation turned into a phantom traffic jam. Traffic works best when it's a steady stream. Inconsistent speed forces everyone behind you to play a guessing game, and guessing at 70 miles per hour is how stress is born. The left lane anchor, lane camping. This is the driver sitting in the far left lane, the passing lane, while going the exact same speed as the person to their right. Think of the highway like a set of pipes. The left lane is the overflow valve. It's meant to keep things moving when the right lane gets congested. When you sit there without passing, you're essentially putting a cap on the pipe. This doesn't just slow people down, it creates a clumping effect. Now, instead of cars being spread out naturally, they're all bunched up behind one person. This bunching leads to frustration, and frustration leads to people making risky passes on the right. You might think you're being safe by going the speed limit in the left lane, but by blocking the flow, you're actually making the road much more volatile. The panic pivot, last-second lane changes. We've all seen it. A car sitting at a red light in the left turn lane. The light turns green, and suddenly they realize they actually need to go straight. Instead of just making the turn and finding a way to circle back, they stop dead, put on their right blinker, and wait for a gap that isn't there. This turns poor planning into everyone else's emergency. When you do this, you aren't just changing lanes, you are physically obstructing a lane that is designed for movement. You're forcing the people behind you who did their homework and are in the correct lane to slam on their brakes. The danger here is the ripple effect. The first car behind you brakes. The second car swerves to avoid them. The third car, who is checking their blind spot to move over, now has no escape route. You've created a turbulent zone, all because you didn't want to spend an extra 2 minutes taking the long way around. The postscript turn signal. Then there's the driver who signals while they're already turning, or worse, after they've already started braking. The entire point of a turn signal is to give advance warning. It's a way of saying, hey, in 5 seconds, I'm going to be doing something different, so plan accordingly. If you wait until you're mid-turn to flick that lever, you haven't given anyone any information. You've just given them a confirmation of why they're currently slamming on their brakes. At high speeds, reaction time is everything. A signal that comes too late turns anticipation into a panic response. Braking for ghosts. Have you ever been on a clear stretch of road and seen the brake lights of the car in front of you flash for no apparent reason? No turn coming, no car in front of them, no debris on the road, just brakes. This is what the engineers call noise in the system. Because the person behind you doesn't know why you're braking, they have to assume the worst. They brake harder. The person behind them swerves. You've just sent a shockwave of bad information miles back down the road. If you need to shed a little speed, just take your foot off the gas. Don't alert the entire county unless there's an actual reason to stop. The gentle merge, which is actually aggressive. On-ramps are the most misunderstood part of the highway. People often think that merging slowly is the polite or cautious way to enter traffic. It's actually the opposite. An on-ramp is a runway. Its sole purpose is to get you up to speed of the main line traffic. When you try to merge onto a 70-mile-per-hour highway doing 45, you're forcing every single person in the right lane to either slam on their brakes or swerve into the left lane to avoid hitting you. You're not being cautious, you're being a moving roadblock. Matching the speed of traffic is the single most important part of safe merging. The misplaced politeness. This one is controversial, but it's true. Being nice can be more dangerous than being mean. Picture a four-way stop or a busy intersection. It's your turn to go, but you decide to be polite and wave someone else through. Now, the person behind you is confused because you're not moving when you should. The person you're waving through is hesitant because they know it's not their turn. Traffic flow depends on commitment. The rules of the road are a contract we all signed. When you break the rules to be nice, you're tearing up that contract. Don't be polite, be predictable. Take your right of way when it's your turn. The no signal weaving. Weaving through traffic without signaling is essentially turning the highway into a giant game of Frogger, but with real lives. When a driver zips from lane to lane without warning, they are operating under the assumption that everyone else will stay perfectly still. But drivers aren't static objects. They move, they adjust, they avoid potholes. When you weave without signaling, you remove the other driver's ability to account for you. You become a wild card in a game that requires total cooperation. Tailgating, the illusion of speed. Tailgating is perhaps the most illogical habit of them all. Following the car in front of you at a distance of 6 inches doesn't actually get you to your destination any faster. If the lead car is going 55, you are going 55, whether you're 100 feet back or 2 inches back. What tailgating does is remove your margin for error. If a squirrel runs across the road or the car in front hits a bump, you have zero time to react. You've turned a minor incident into a multi-car pileup. And just as important, brake checking a tailgater doesn't fix the problem. It's the same mistake in reverse. It removes even more margin and turns a bad situation into a dangerous one. Tailgating is a high-stress, high-risk behavior with zero actual rewards. The Jersey Slide, the late highway exit. While the last-second lane change is usually a low-speed annoyance, the late highway exit is a high-speed gamble. This is the driver who is in the far left fast lane and realizes that in approximately 100 feet they need to exit. This is where the physics of driving gets scary. If you cut across lanes of traffic at 70 miles an hour, you are betting your life that every other driver in those lanes is 1. Paying 100% attention, 2. Has functioning brakes. This move is especially dangerous around semi-trucks. A fully loaded truck can weigh 80,000 pounds. They can't just stop. If you dive in front of a truck's bumper to catch an exit, you're entering a blind spot that is larger than your entire car. To the truck driver, you've effectively vanished until the moment of impact. There is a saying among professional drivers, a bad driver never misses an exit. A good driver accepts the mistake, goes to the next one, and uses their GPS to recalibrate. The highway isn't a video game. There is no undo button for a 70-mile-an-hour collision. One way to think about all these habits is through the lens of information debt. In any high-speed system, there's a delay between seeing something and reacting to it. When you drive predictably, using signals, maintaining speed, staying in your lane, you're keeping the debt low. Everyone has the information they need to stay safe. When you do something unpredictable, you create a massive spike in the information debt. Everyone around you suddenly has to pay for your choice with their own reaction time. Eventually, the debt gets too high, someone can't pay in time, and that's when a crash happens. Traffic isn't just about cars, it's about the flow of data between human brains. At the end of the day, good driving isn't about how fast you can go or how well you can handle a skid. It's about information. When we drive, we're constantly communicating with each other through our positioning, our speed, and our signals. You're leaving everyone else in the dark. If we all focus less on being fast or first and more on being predictable, traffic would move faster, stress levels would drop, and everyone would get home a little sooner. If this video made you rethink even one habit, it's done its job. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want calmer roads and fewer surprises. I'm Charles, and this is all about the drive.